What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we got the big Battlefield 6 multiplayer reveal, and in this there was a ton of new information, and in today's video I wanted to take sort of a higher level look and recap of all of the most important pieces of info that we got with this reveal. Keep in mind when it comes to a lot of the details, I plan on covering these in future videos. This video is more so just designed to get you caught up on the basics if you miss a reveal, while also sharing some of my thoughts and opinions as we go. And let's dive right into this with the map content we're going to be seeing at launch for multiplayer. And it turns out we're going to be getting 9 maps at launch, including a remake, Operation Firestorm. And you can see they're set in a wide variety of locations like Brooklyn, Gibraltar, Tajikistan, and Cairo. So a decent amount of variety in settings there, which is nice to see. Then, of course, when it comes to our classes, this isn't new information. They did outline how they're handling their class system a little while back, but of course, we've got Assault, Engineer, Support, and Recon, and each of them will have their own signature weapon type that will be getting a bonus modifier of some sort if you're combining the correct weapon class with the class itself. So if you use an assault rifle with the assault class, you get a faster sprint out time as well as faster swap speed between assault rifles and other weapons. If you combine an SMG with Engineer, you get improved hipfire with that SMG. When combining LMGs with support, you won't suffer from any sprint speed penalties, unlike the other classes that are using an LMG. And then finally, if you use a sniper rifle with recon, you get reduced scope sway, the ability to stabilize your aim by holding your breath, and also a faster rechamber time between shots with that sniper rifle. Now on top of that, each class will have their own unique gadgets and signature traits as well, so effectively like little perks attached to their class. And that's pretty much it when it comes to classes as of now. It is worth noting, during the beta, they will also be testing class-locked weapons, like we saw in older Battlefield games, where certain weapon types will only be usable with the correct class. After that, let's talk about movement a little bit. They outlined a bunch of new and returning movement elements that are going to be coming to Battlefield 6. We've got the ability to lean, peek, mount our gun. We can do a combat roll. I believe we saw that in Battlefield 5, if I remember correctly, where if you jump from a fairly high height, you can roll to avoid some fall damage. A new thing with Battlefield 6, it was leaked in the Battlefield Labs gameplay a while back, but now we've seen it officially, is you can actually drag and revive them at the same time. So you can drag them toward cover, and in the meantime, you'll be reviving them, which is pretty neat. They also mentioned we'll have the ability to crouch sprint, and one thing I noticed is it appears there is no tactical sprint in the game, which in my eyes at least is great to see. I do think the tactical sprint mechanic in most modern FPS games is just totally redundant, doesn't really add anything meaningful to the gameplay experience, because generally in games like this, people are just always going to want to use whatever the fastest method is to get from point A to point B, and it's rarely actually used in a tactical manner where you're carefully thinking about what style of sprint you want to use. It's just, if you want to get from point A to point B, you're going to use the fastest sprint possible. So at that point, I just feel like it's not necessary, and I'm glad to see that it's not there in the game now. Next up, an interesting new mechanic that they introduced that I really like is the hitch a ride mechanic, where infantry can essentially mount to a vehicle, like a tank for instance. So that just expands the number of slots that people can use to get a ride on a vehicle. Obviously, you'll be really exposed when you're doing that, but it's nice, especially at the beginning of the game, that you'll be able to just hitch a ride on that tank to get into the action a little bit faster. Also, when it comes to vehicles, they did briefly mention they have more simplified controls for their vehicles. I'm curious to see what that looks like and feels like. And I do hope for the really hardcore Battlefield pilots and stuff out there that they have the more advanced controls that they would be used to as well. But for me, as somebody that just doesn't touch aerial vehicles especially, I'm terrified of them because every time I try, I end up crashing. It's nice to see that they're planning to have some more simplified controls here, and maybe I'll actually be able to give it a shot without having to spend a few hours practicing in a private match. But again, I just hope that doesn't come at the expense of the more experienced Battlefield pilots out there. After that, let's talk a little bit about game modes. And of course, we have the big 3 game modes for Battlefield. We've got Conquest, Breakthrough, and Rush. But then on top of that, we've got some smaller modes. We've got Team Deathmatch, Squad Deathmatch, which is individual squads all fighting against each other. So it's like 4v4v4v4. I think it's 16 players total for that. They also have Domination, which is a 16-player mode, and King of the Hill. And these modes really seem to be targeting Call of Duty players, and I definitely see this as a great way to bridge that gap a little bit and get Call of Duty players like myself a little bit more invested and involved into Battlefield. They also made a mention of escalation. They didn't really go into details with that. Perhaps by the time this video comes out, we will have seen the streamers actually playing escalation and we'll know exactly what it is, but at the time of recording at least, we don't really have any details on this. And then they also mentioned Portal is returning, but it's going to be a new and improved Portal with a ton of extra tools. And they showed it off a little bit here. It looks like we'll be able to create our own maps and mini games. And they even mention a program that'll be taking place where you can create your own modes and rule sets with full XP gains. But I think in those cases that does have to be approved officially, so you're not just boosting through crazy amounts of XP. But that looks really cool. It looks like they're really taking Portal to the next level, and I think there's a lot of potential there for user-generated content. So I'm glad to see that they're not only not abandoning Portal, but they're expanding on it and making it much bigger and better. Then on top of that, we did get a teaser for the Battle Royale that's coming, which has been leaked for a while now. And this is the teaser here. As we know, it's going to be set in California. And toward the end of the teaser, looks like that is a Firestorm. And I'm curious to see if they end up calling this Firestorm 2 or what they end up calling it. But they're basically teasing that this is coming soon to Battlefield Labs. So for the closed play tests, where everybody that's playing is under NDA. But as we know, there are tons of people out there that don't respect the NDA. And as a result, I suspect we'll be seeing some leaked Battle Royale stuff coming out. I don't know when exactly, but in the not too distant future, I suspect, since they're teasing it here in the reveal already. But so far, rumors are suggesting that the Battle Royale is not coming at launch for Battlefield 6, and it will instead come sometime down the road. Now, outside of that, one thing I do want to mention, they have talked a little bit about how they're going to be handling cosmetics down the road. And while they did mention they're going to have more info to come on post-launch content, so we didn't get too much info there, we did get a nice clarifying statement here. They confirmed that they want to keep things grounded and authentic, and they want to make sure they fit in the universe that they've created while emphasizing class identifiers. And that's something a ton of us wanted to see, especially with the direction Call of Duty has been going and how insane they've been getting with their cosmetics in Call of Duty lately. I know a lot of Battlefield players were nervous looking at that because I know COD's just raking in the cash doing that. And then there's a lot of us, I would say, disenfranchised Call of Duty players that are very annoyed with what Call of Duty's doing there. And I'm very happy to see that Battlefield apparently isn't going to be following in their footsteps. But of course, that is something to keep an eye on to see if they stay true to their word when it comes to that. And with all of that out of the way, let's get into some important dates, including our open beta dates, which is actually starting next weekend. Like, not this coming weekend, not starting tomorrow or anything, but next week on August 7th and 8th. This is where the early access portion of the open beta will go live. And this will go live for anybody that's signed up for Battlefield Labs. So even if you didn't get accepted into Battlefield Labs, but you signed up because you wanted to take part in it, you should be getting an invitation for that part of the open beta. And also you can get drops by watching streamers play Battlefield today. And that can also get you early access on the 7th and 8th. But then after that, on the 9th and 10th, this is when it's going fully open, so anybody can join at that point. And then the following weekend, from August 14th to 17th, that will also be an open portion of the beta that anybody can join, no pre-orders or anything necessary. And to me, it's great news. We're going to get our hands on this very soon. I can't wait to dive in and play it. And then finally, the last date that I wanted to share here is they officially confirmed, even though they accidentally leaked this before and then took it down, the official release date for Battlefield 6 is October 10th. And there we go. Overall, I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. I think they are absolutely on the right track. Based on the reveal and the gameplay I've seen, it seems so far like this is going to be an excellent entry into the Battlefield series. But of course, it's still early days. We got to get our hands on it for ourselves. Still holding off on pre-ordering, especially since you don't need it to gain access to the beta, and I'd recommend doing the same. But overall, I'm personally really hyped about this, especially since my hype for Call of Duty is at an all-time low right now. So there's a good chance I'm going to be diving in quite deep with this Battlefield game and making quite a bit of content on it as well. And speaking of that, I am planning on getting into some more of the details that we learned today. Things like the weapons, some of the weapon stats as well, and what kind of time to kill values we're looking at, as well as how the attachment system works. I'm going to be taking a deeper dive into that with some upcoming videos, but this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. Just in general, after seeing this reveal and now seeing some official gameplay, how are you feeling about Battlefield 6? Are you guys really excited for this game? Or maybe not so much? Are there certain elements that you've been seeing that you're not happy with? And if so, let me know what those elements are. If you enjoyed this video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.